Welcome back to another episode of the Sons of the Next Generation podcast. I am your host, Joe Turner. And in the studio today I have with me Mellisa. She is a friend from Branson. Wait, can I say that?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
That's fine.
I don't always like to disclose people's locations, but now you know her location. I'm not going to tell you where Branson is, though, because maybe you don't know. Somewhere in the world of Earth. Anyway, I'm just so glad you guys are up here because it's actually in the first episode that we had, that my wife and I did, we were both kind of nervous because it was the first one, and we're like, oh crap, the camera's on us, and yet not one of you can see us right now. You'll see us later, and I might be sleeping whenever you see me, or I might be, I don't know, cutting my toenails. I don't know what whenever you guys finally see this. But we actually talked about you guys and the first episode, and I was like, it's kind of funny because Steve and I talked about doing the whole podcast, fat man, little boy, and and then it kind of turned into this, and fat man's not here, but he will be here. We'll be doing an episode very soon, actually later today. But by the time it comes out, it won't be later today. It'll be whatever time it is in your guys' time zone, so you can get it whenever. But no, today Mellisa and I are going to talk about a couple different things, and obviously we want to use this to help you guys, to encourage you guys, and she's just going to share some things that are on her heart, and that she can help you guys with the next an upcoming generation. Funny, right? Does that ring a bell with anything? Maybe up here. For those of you who are audio only, I was pointing at my TV with the Sons of the Next Generation logo on it. Just, I'm a goober sometimes. Anyways, enough gooberness. Let's get into the good stuff. So, we're going to be talking to you guys a little bit about fears, about some different marriage and marriage topics. That was a word that left my brain as soon as I tried to say it. And we're honestly just going to see where the conversation goes, and we hope that it is helps you guys. So, anyways, Mellisa.
Yes.
What is one thing right now that you enjoy about your husband? It can be anything, but just what's one thing that you enjoy that makes you feel loved by him at any time?
I love the fact, which I've always loved the fact ever since we've gotten together, that he's very spontaneous. We could be going, and when this happened, we were going one direction to go to Galveston, as a matter of fact. We turned right around and went straight to Branson. We decided to go totally different direction and do something totally different, and it's just the way we roll. I love the fact that he is supportive, that he's stable, that I know exactly he's going to be there, I'm going to be there, and the fact that he's just always taking care of us. He's funny. Everybody knows he's funny, especially Steve. He knows he's funny. He's just going to talk. And so, no, he's always been there. He lets me know that he loves me, and he doesn't have to say it every day. We just know. Yeah. It's just kind of nice.
Yeah. What is that? So, and this is something that I've never asked you, and so you are almost how old, if you don't mind my asking?
I am 49. I will be 50 in November. Okay,
so I have a 50-year-old woman in here with me, and
I'm not 50 yet.
Oh my gosh, anyways, cut. We're gonna redo that.
Podcast
Not really. Don't really stop. I have a 49-year-old woman in the studio with me. And then Steve is how old?
Oh, jeez. 58.
He's got to be... Okay.
Thank you, Kayla. He's 58.
59.
Is he 59?
He's 59.
Okay.
He's 59. He just turned 59.
Okay.
Sorry, honey.
Yeah. But there's a little age gap between my wife and I. So what's that like for you? Because, I mean, I'm the younger one in my relationship with my wife. What's that like for you, though? with the 10-year age gap, what's that been like? Has it affected anything? Or are you like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to go on a hike and I feel like I'm waiting on my grandpa to catch up?
When you're younger, it doesn't seem like anything.
Yeah.
When you get older and you find out that you get aches and pains and things happen, every decade is different. I usually gauge my life. I'll call my sister, hey, what's in my next decade? And she'll tell me, bam, it's there. And so, it's kind of strange because there's things that we used to do that we can't do anymore.
Yeah.
He's not decrepit.
No.
It's just there. You have your limitations the older you get.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a challenge whenever you have an age gap.
Yeah. I wonder. So I was just thinking about whenever you were talking about things that you can't do as well anymore. Remember that little Fiat car that you guys gave us?
Yeah.
I wonder if he could still get in and
sorry.
out of. I wonder if he could even still get in and out of.
Can he still get in and out?
I know we could.
We could pull him out of there, I'm sure.
That was whenever.
The funny thing about that Fiat car was I didn't pick it out. My son and Steve picked it out. And so they were like riding in it. And it was like obvious to people that were oversized for such a little bitty car. That's funny.
Did you guys ever see the movie Flywheel?
Yes.
Remember that part where the two salesmen were getting out of the little Miata and Sam the black guy, he's like, you guys look like two marshmallows trying to get out of a Hot Wheel. That's not funny, Sam. I love that. We just went through and watched all the Kendrick Brothers movies.
Those are good shows.
I don't remember. Flywheel was what, early 2000s, I wanted to say.
Jeez, I don't even remember.
But they said they had a budget of $20,000 to make that movie. Which you can see it, and you can tell, like, okay, that was definitely their first movie, but, like, dude, that's pretty cool.
But boy, how they've progressed.
Oh, man, it's just,
shows are amazing.
It really is, dude, and we love it, and we just watched, we just watched all of them, but we watched, I think War Room was the last one that we watched, and so my wife's got her prayer wall, on the thing, and I'm like, at our house, and I'm like, it's pretty cool, because it's a good reminder of, things that have been answered, things that we're so actively waiting for, and so it's a good reminder, because I know sometimes I tend to get lost in the fact of I'm still waiting on X, Y, and Z. Well, look at all the prayers that he's answered in the last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, even as something simple as the truck we drove here in today. I mean, no, it's not the most beautiful truck in the whole world, but it's just like, it is exactly what I wanted. I was like, I wanted a manual transmission. I wanted the diesel. I wanted the, mechanical transfer case. And I'm like, that's what I want. So, and I found it. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I know you didn't come here to talk about my truck, but we can. Anybody want to talk? You want to talk about my truck,
I like
Kayla?
talking about trucks.
No, Kayla doesn't want to talk about my truck. You doing okay on the camera?
I'm doing okay on the camera.
Okay.
It is on you.
Now I don't know what to say. Just kidding. So we're just rolling with this. I know that earlier we were talking about different fears that you've had.
Can I start at my childhood?
You can start wherever you want, ma'am. Take it away.
Unless you just have a different...
No, I don't. Like I said, I just use this as a rough script, but we do not need to follow this to a T. So you start where you need to.
As we were discussing earlier, a lot of things start in your childhood. And when I was a kid, mine were dreams. I had different things that also had happened with me as a child, but I believe that the enemy slipped in dreams. And the older that I got, fear gripped me so hard that I struggled with it until, it was after me and Steve were married. Yeah. And I got married at 19 to him. No, was I 19? I think I was 19 when we first got married. And so I had been married previously. I got married at 16. Are you yawning? Am I boring you?
No. Oh, my gosh. No. I just...
Sorry.
Yeah, it's so bored over here. Yes, I did yawn though for everybody.
No, I got married at 16 originally.
Yeah.
And during that time, I'd like to share this because this is kind of off, but it's not. It's kind of relevant. I had a friend that told me, and I've shared this with many kids.
Yeah.
But my friend told me, he said, Melissa, do you know why I love you? And I said, why? And mind you, what? No relationship there. He's just saying, I love you. I love you because you know how to Bible thump, and you also know how to live in the world. And that stuck with me so many years that I've had to share that, because that's not what we're called to be. We're called to be set apart.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, with all of that going on, I still had to, okay, well, we have to separate living for the Lord as living for the world. And so, anyway, the older I got, we had gotten into a church that this lady had really spoken to me about fears. Crap. She kind of guided me.
Will you turn that light off, Kayla? That light's sorry. That light's supposed to be off because otherwise it gives a glare on the TV.
Oh, nobody saw it. Now you can see it.
And I totally forgot. So now you guys can see the logo, but this is the way it's supposed to look. So anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
That's
I'm like something's off, but I'm like, now I remember it's the light.
No, I had a friend of mine at the church, and she walked me through prayers. And she walked me through, I guess I would have to say, a deliverance of different things that I really struggled with, and pulled things that I didn't even remember, believe it or not, out of my past. And I was like, that's absolutely amazing. Yeah. For the first time in my life, I could sleep.
Oh.
And it brought me a whole lot of peace. And that's whenever I really started focusing on walking with the Lord. And it was just a whole new path for me at that point. And so, anyway, I was married to Steve at that time. Yeah. But the devil always comes in and tries to reintroduce himself to, you know, the familiar spirits that you have once clung to. Yeah. And so, anyway, it's been a journey, and I have to call my life, and with everybody's life, it's a complete journey. Yeah. And so it wasn't until 2015, I should say, and we're talking like my kids are basically grown at this point, except for that one over there. Yeah. I ended up working over in Williston at the courthouse, and I had plenty of time in the morning that I would sit there, and you got to constantly renew your mind. And so I would get there early, like before my shift even started, which was 6 o'clock, and I got there before then. And I dedicated myself to reading. I'm boring you again.
Apparently, daggone it.
No, to reading, to getting in God's Word, to spending time in prayer before my job even started that day. Yeah, wow. And I would have to say my spiritual life grew within leaps and bounds, just off of being disciplined and giving my time to the Lord. And so, anyway, now you can pose a question.
Well, something that made me think about it, and if you don't mind circling back to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, but you're talking about your friend that was like...
My friend was not a believer.
Right, but he was like... You know how to Bible thump, but you also know how to live in the world. Yeah. So the reason that I asked that question is because, and obviously if you don't mind, I can edit whatever I need to out. But was he insinuating that whenever you were Bible thumping, you're Bible thumping, but when you were in the world, you were in the world?
That's absolutely right.
Right, and so that makes me think about, and when my wife and I have. Whenever we first got married, you know, and I was out, and I would, for those of you who don't know, I was in the military for a little while, but it was like whenever I was, you know, I grew up in church. But,
as I.
Yeah. But whenever I was out at the MAF, dude, you would have never said, hey, I bet you that guy's a Christian. No, man, I was saying every daggum cuss word under the sun, and, you know, there was no differentiation between me and any of the other guys out there that weren't believers, you know, and so I think about that because I'm like, dude, how many of us like I was are deceived though, you know, we're kind of living two different lives.
Yeah.
And I remember, dude, and this is the crazy part to me, and this is what actually, because obviously whenever I first started coming to church, I did not believe the way that I believe now. And like I said, it took me probably 4 years to even start to open up to half of this stuff. Right. Because I was just closed off to it. But
because we get comfortable in our other life. And
well, when I'm talking about this part of, I say this part of Christianity, but I grew up. Are you familiar with like the Reformed faith and stuff like that? Calvinism,
Okay.
or Reformed Baptist, Reformed Presbyterian. I basically grew up Reformed Baptist for the most part. Went Baptist to Reformed Baptist. But anything that was taught like this, it's like, okay, well these people are just off their rocker. But to backtrack and not get down a rabbit trail like I'm so good at. Well, it was a worship night on a Wednesday, and Roy told me, he said, "You don't." I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but basically what he told me was that whenever I'm not at church and I'm out at the MAF, I look just like the world. And I'm like, how does he know that? He's never been. What? And I'm like,
How nice it is to have friends that will speak truth into you without caring if they hurt your feelings, though.
yeah, well, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, how does he know that?
Yeah.
There's no way he can possibly know that because he's not out there with me. But I knew that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, obviously, somebody ratted me out, daggum, And I'm like, but no, that's just the reality. The reality is sometimes the Holy Spirit will give you stuff. You know what I mean? To tell people, and that was like the start of. This is weird. I've never had this happen. And that was really confusing to me. But I'm like, okay, well, I guess God had to rat me out then. I guess, I know that's kind of what first started. Like, okay, well, maybe there's something to this, And I mean, there's been other things that have happened. Similar, yawning, and I can't say similarly. But very similar things happen, And I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's something to this because I know, they're, I know they're not into witchcraft,
Right.
And so that was kind of the beginning of like, okay, well, I might need to get my crap together because apparently I'm just going to get told on, and there's nobody even out here to tell on me, but Holy Spirit's going to tell on me. He's going to tell on me, And I'm like, okay, huh. But it's just been a journey, and so I look back and I'm like, man, I'm so thankful that God brought me out of that because I was a Christian on Sunday morning, and Monday, dude, I was cussing and saying all kinds of stuff that didn't glorify God on Monday at work, and my phone is daggum going off, and I don't actually have my silent button doesn't work anymore. So yeah, but where were we going with that? Oh, just the fact that we both kind of had that in common, that we both grew up in church, and that we both got Bible thump, and
that is the majority of the church. Otherwise, the Bible wouldn't talk about taking part of this and not the rest of this. It's like, be ready.
Yeah. But I guess the rapture didn't happen on the 23rd like it was supposed to.
Right, something like that.
I seen, man, it was sad because I seen a video online because it was in South Africa or something. And this pastor heard from God, and I use air quotes, so anybody who's listening audibly, I used an air quote sign with my fingers. But I seen this video of it. They're all sitting out there waiting on the 23rd, and they're all just like, oh, they're all waiting. And I'm like, man, how deceived are we? Have you read your Bible? And I don't say that to be mean. My computer's trying to shut off now. I got to figure out how to. But I'm like, have you read your Bible? It literally. No one knows whenever he's coming. Not even Jesus knows.
The day or the hour. That's right.
No one knows, and so I'm like, but even people. There's even some people that I know. Like, oh well, I know it's what it's. But what it? I'm like, man, why do we entertain this? Why? It's not biblical.
Right.
I don't care who this pastor heard from, but it might have been a demon, but it wasn't God. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just like, it was sad because there's even people that was out going selling all of their stuff, and they were worried about like, oh, what's going to happen to my dog? Because I'm going to be raptured on the 23rd. And where's my dog going to go? And I'm like, first off, if I get raptured up, sorry, dog, it's survival of the fittest at this point. Either you're going to get eaten or you're going to eat something.
Right.
And it was sad to me because I'm like, man, no, the guy's like, this isn't right. But I don't know. I'm not making this flow very well, but that's okay. We're all learning. We're all learning together. How many kids do you have?
I have 4. They range from 30 down to 17.
Huh. Okay.
You gotta ask me about my grandbabies. Come on now.
You know, Melissa, I forget that you have grandkids. I honestly forget that you have grandkids.
I have
And see,
7.
I'm trying to redeem myself now because I was just like, oh, I have a 50-year-old woman in the podcast with me today. And then I'm like, oh, I forgot you had grandkids. So I'm trying to redeem myself.
And I'm not 50, but go ahead.
Please. She's not 50. She's 49.
I'm 49.
So if anybody says she's 50, don't. Yes. What about your grandbabies would you like to tell us?
I've got 7. And every one of them have a different personality, and they're all awesome. And if I had a bunch of pictures, I'd go, you know how they have those?
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't.
Here.
Because we're in a new age where you, hey, look at my
Hey, look at
babies,
my
and then
baby.
you flip through your phone.
Yeah. You know, I forget that it's not. I try not to use people's names if they're not here, but I try to. I forget that it's your one son who has most of your
5 of them.
grandbabies.
Yeah, so all my kids are scattered. I have 2 that live in Missouri with me.
Yep.
I have one up in Williston, and I've got one in Boston. Isn't that crazy?
You said 2 of them in Williston?
Nope, one.
No, oh, one. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, I have grandbabies. I have 2 grandbabies.
Well, right.
I'm just talking about my kids.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that water's good. Anyways,
You're welcome.
thank you for the Deja Blue water. Speaking of Deja Blue water, I don't think I've ever seen that anywhere, but
Should we show? Mike can get some sponsors here.
yeah, Deja Blue.
Blue
If you
sponsors?
listen to this, sponsor me. I look good drinking your water. But just so everybody knows, I am not affiliated with Deja Blue, and they do not currently sponsor me. But if they wanted to, I will not ever promote a product that I don't use myself. So I use your product. So if you want to sponsor me, I would be more than happy to.
That's a little background music. What's the next
Oh,
question?
my soul. Yes, that's okay. It's your mom. It's your
my
mom's.
purse.
This is the noisiest podcast we've had. Forgotten to turn the lights off. Forgotten. Oh man, it's good though. It's raw. It's funny.
All right.
Everybody's like, okay, so about those podcasts, let's find a different one. I'm not trying to. I woke up late this morning, and I got them a little bit later than I was supposed to, because I didn't hear my alarms. And we were trying to do an early morning recording, because I have a doctor's appointment today, and I'm trying to fit in a couple more interviews today. So it was an interesting start to the morning and just a little bit disheveled, but we're here, and we're doing it. And I'm not going to let waking up a little bit late stop me. But life happens. Okay, so we were talking a little bit about you with a little bit of an age gap with your husband, and a little bit about your fears, and a little bit about your kids. I can edit out all these long pauses, but something that not growing up, but growing old.
Yeah.
Right, with your husband, because you guys have been married since you were 19.
No.
Right. No, you were.
Yes.
You were 19.
I was 19. We've been married for 30 years.
Okay. So with that, what's one challenge that you guys have had? Again, if you don't, what's one challenge that you've had that wasn't like a super big blow up, like I'm trying to think if I had a word this here because I'm trying not to look at my script for all the people that are looking at me, but I have a script on my computer, so I should probably just look at it. But what's one challenge that you guys had that you overcame, right? But
Finances.
okay, finances.
Definitely finances. We've never managed our money very well whenever we first got together. And most people didn't want to be around us. It was so bad. It doesn't mean that we didn't make the money.
Right.
We just didn't manage our money very well. And so we definitely would have everything that we wanted, but it would always crash and burn. And it wasn't until Steve heard, and we were going through a hard time. We didn't even have a house at this point. We were going through a very difficult time. And Steve heard a radio program that was a show called Rags to Riches. And they actually talked about Williston, North Dakota and the oil boom that was going on out there. Have I ever told you this? Have you ever?
No,
you never
actually
heard this story. And so, anyway, I was working at a Chick-fil-A, and it's a long story before then of everything that was going on, and we were just kind of going down. Steve came to me and he said, "Hey, Mellisa, we're going to Williston, North Dakota. You can come if you want to. If you don't, that's fine, but I'm going." And I was like, "What?" And then he told me about everybody's success stories about coming out to Williston.
Yeah.
So we originally came out here to be in the oil field. And we even got our TWIC card, everything that we needed to go out there and stuff. And then once we got here, we didn't. God had different plans for us. And he always told me, this is the first time I really heard the Lord say, "Do this," loud and clear, and I have to do it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we came here, and we actually left 2 of our kids in Texas. Kayla ends up staying over at in Missouri with my mother-in-law, and we ended up heading up here with my oldest, and we all found jobs, and we stayed at a man camp up in Billings, Montana.
Yep.
Stayed at a man camp, and then we worked out in Williston, and it wasn't too long, within a month, that I got my kids, not knowing what was going to happen. We had nothing. And it was just really interesting because we literally spent everything we had coming here just to get groceries, went to the man camp, didn't have money to stay there. And then for some reason, this man ends up flying down who owned the man camp. And he said, "Hey, whatever they gave you, give it back to him." And he gave us even more and said, "I want you to paint all these man camps." And he said, "Just go ahead and stay here and we'll pay you."
Nice.
And we were like, "What?" It wasn't a couple of weeks. Steve got a phone call, and we had free housing. And he was a maintenance guy over a trailer park.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of grew from there. So it wouldn't be what everybody else would be like, "Wow, that's what I want to do."
Yeah.
But it was God's path to teaching us our money. And a lot of things happened within there. We ended up owning our own business and all different kinds of stuff, but we learned how to manage our money while we were here in North Dakota. So I'm really thankful that Steve actually had an ear and a sensitive ear to hear what God was telling us to do, because it set us on a more beautiful path in life.
Yeah, I didn't know that you guys actually were coming up here for the oil field.
We did.
So what was he going to do? Is he just going to be a grunt guy and work his way up or he just here
He was just wanting to take anything. Oh, as far as the oil field?
Well, yeah, like you just
I don't think we had a plan.
you just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
I told you, he's very spontaneous.
Yeah.
I don't care how old he gets. He's always going to be spontaneous.
Yeah. No, I know. And but honestly, dude, that's what I was telling my wife. Like, man, I love that about. Like most of all of our friends, like, we're all spontaneous.
Yeah.
And I have I have people. I also have some other people that are very close to me. They're not spontaneous. I don't know what to do. Because I mean, you want to write everything down on paper and everything, and then I'm like,
you can make your plans, but God will change them.
Yeah. I'm
every
like,
time.
And it's just like, roll with it, man. And it's obviously there's certain things in life that you don't want to roll with. You want to be responsible, like with your finances. But my wife and I, dude, I'd never managed nothing before my wife and I got married. And okay, let me tell you guys something. So it goes against the norms, right? And if honestly, I'll be honest with all you guys, if I was my wife's dad and I was like, "Hey, I want to marry your daughter," I'd have said, get out of here, loser. You know what I mean? Like, you got some good qualities, but you're just not there yet.
Right.
Because, dude, I literally, so going back and forth to base, I mean, I was fresh in the military. I didn't make crap for money. There was parts on my truck that I had, my red Dodge, you know, Lord Farquaad, his truck. That's an inside joke between us. Anyways, no, man, but he had I literally couldn't afford to buy the parts to fix my truck. And my wife had to, well, my girlfriend at the time had to buy them. And I'm not going to lie, me sitting here as a dad, and I'm like, you know, if my daughter had to buy this random guy parts for his truck because he can't afford it, I would be like, baby girl, you seriously need to consider if this is something you want to get into.
Right.
Because this guy ain't got it going on. And I didn't have it going on. But I also look at it and I'm like, okay, well, I see how God's brought us through everything that he's brought us through. And I just find it funny because my wife also paid for our first date. Because I lent a guy some money, like a dummy, and he never paid me back. And unfortunately, that was almost the last of my money that I lent him. So, for those of you on the camera, no, I don't resent this guy. I lent him $60, but this goes to show you, I really didn't have that much money. I think I may have had $100. He was like, hey, can I borrow $60? And at the time, I wasn't one of those people that could really say no. You know what I mean? Like, it was really hard for me to say no. I can say no now. So if you ask to borrow money, I may just tell you no. Kayla, you can't borrow any money. You got a job.
She has a job.
She has a job. Okay, so we're kind of all over the place a little bit, but what does you trust in God as a 49-year-old woman married to a 59-year-old? I just said that to be a goober. Sorry, guys. But no, seriously, as someone who has 4 kids, whose husband is, you know, a decade older, and just the me knowing all of your kids, obviously not super great with all of them, but you know, I know the gist of all of them, and all the different places that they live, and not all of them, half of them don't even live with you. What does it look like in trusting God as far as their well-being, as far as their salvation, as far as whatever it is that you have to consecrate to God? Because, you know, I understand that, you know, there's you know, not moms leaving the nest, kids are leaving the nest or have left the nest a while ago. But what certain things that you got to really just say, hey God, this one's on you. I got to give this to you because I obviously can't do anything. I'm not even here with them.
As a mom,
yeah,
you're never going to stop being concerned about your kids.
Yeah,
I don't care how old they get. I don't care where they are, if they're near or if they're far. You're going to sit there and think, how are they going to make it this next month? How are they, you know, are you setting your life in line? Because you always want your kids to do better than you did.
Yeah.
And so I've always told my kids, hey, find yourself a place where you can grow in your job.
Yeah.
Find yourself where you're not just, you know, doing this and going to make this for the rest of your life. There's nowhere to go up. You know, and it's just you, like we poured into them. Hey, I had 3 boys. You need to be a good father. You have to be a good, you know, husband. And you prepare them for this moment. Kayla, you got to prepare her to be a good wife, you know, and you play so many different roles. And then as you get older, you're sitting there going, okay, how is that going? Did I do my job?
Yeah.
And if they don't do well, did I do my job well? You're constantly questioning yourself on every little move. So the answer is you stay on your knees. You pray. Because otherwise, you can lay yourself in bed, which I have, in total depression. Just going, oh my gosh, rolling over your life and trying to figure out, did I do this right? Did I do it wrong? Did I do it good enough? What are their perceptions of how I raised them? You know, because then the world's going to tell you, no, they should have done it this way. And that's happened. The world should have raised you this way. They did it wrong, and then they buy into that. And so it can go anyway. So you have to trust God for everything that He is going to do His will in their life.
Yeah.
And you know what? You don't have a choice in the matter at that point. Because once you have a kid, you're basically saying, Lord, I'm doing my part. Help me on this. Once they're out of your nest, Lord, do your part on this. All I can do is what you've asked me to do, and that is to hold them up in prayer daily.
Yeah, that's it's a lot easier said than done.
It is a lot easier said than done.
Okay, so what did that look like for you on some of the days that you were struggling more? Where you were talking about what you're just laying in bed like with all this anxiety because maybe your kid.
Well, I won't go into total detail,
right?
But what does it look like?
Wait, what? I'm asking from your perspective. I'm not asking what your kid did.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying obviously they did something. There's an action. There was an action, and so then the reaction was you. What? You're just laying in bed with like all this anxiety. Like, was I a good enough mom? Did I do it right? Did I?
It depends on how far you carry it, and that's a sign of the enemy.
Yeah.
Because literally, you can lay in bed with depression at nighttime.
Yeah.
With tears rolling down your face, and you feel like your heart's about to pound out of your chest because you're getting it out of control. Because you're taking it out of God's hands and putting it back in your hands.
Yeah.
And I've been there, and I've done that, and I've released it again. And it's just hard. It's hard, but it's easy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Oh, I definitely understand that. Well, that's funny that you were talking about that because this, what day was that? It was Sunday night. I was struggling, man, because there's certain aspects about, I'm not going to use the name, but the place I work, and there's some things that you deal with, and there's also, work was a part of it, but there's also a few other things that are involved in it. I was just, whenever you start to downward spiral, and how long it took me to actually realize that, hey, how many people go through their life and they don't realize, like I know some emotional people, and I honestly don't think that they can put the thoughts and the words together that, hey, whenever this happens or whatever, I start to downward spiral. But how many of us just downward spiral and we don't even know it, but we're just having all these emotions that we're feeling, but we don't know anything about it. We don't know how to handle that, and so therefore we just downward spiral into God knows how far. But anyways, back to the story. I started a downward spiral, and I caught myself, and a lot of times I notice the more that I talk whenever I'm downward spiraling, the faster I send myself down.
Yes.
And I was talking to my wife, and we were talking, and I was just some of the stuff that I was talking about, some stuff I was saying, and I was like, honey, I was like, I'm starting a downward spiral. I have to stop because I will talk myself right down the hole, and that one's hard because sometimes you got to get stuff off your chest, and that was a part of it. But there's a point where it's like, okay, everything's off your chest. You're just rambling at this point, and you're just making it worse. So,
and sometimes when you talk to other people, they can't do a thing for you. Yeah. It's better to just bring it to God because otherwise you're just repeating it over and over, and it just sets it deeper into you. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I always have to, and I don't always think about it right away, which obviously we're all still learning on this journey we call life. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. But, I have to get out of my head. I have to go do something. And so, but if I'm being honest, my first thought is not always whenever I'm downward spiraling, I need to give this to God. I always get there. It just doesn't always come as fast as it should all the time. But, so I told my wife, hey, listen, I was like, I'm going on a bike ride. And so the kids and I went on a bike ride. We got the little bike trailer, and the girls sat in the trailer, and we ride, and the boys came too, and so we had a good ride and went and rode around. But it's just hard knowing, getting to that spot where you're like, okay, well, I'm starting to go down, and if I don't stop myself and I don't take it to God right now, then I'm going to keep going down further. And I can only imagine that's none of my kids are out of the house yet, but I can only imagine that the questioning and the am I did I even do this right? Did I even try? Because sometimes, we can look back on ourselves and be like, we all say, "Oh, I tried my hardest as a parent." Did we? And I'm not, you know what I mean?
I think the answer, as a parent, is to not be hypocritical. And I think that we pulled a lot of that as we were raising our kids. Is it's easy to say one thing and do another. Don't think your kids are gonna not pick up on that.
They're gonna,
because they will, and they will tell you.
Yeah.
And so, but like I said, it's flesh versus spirit. You got to follow the spirit, and if you follow the other, and you're telling your kids one thing, they're gonna understand. They're gonna know, hey, you're lying, Mom. You're lying, Dad.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was. I was actually talking to Joey about it the other day, because there was a way that I was being hypocritical. Because, I grew up. I used to have seizures. I'd have too much sugar, I'd have a seizure. So growing up, man, I wasn't allowed to have a lot of sweets or soda or candy or anything. And I got to sit here and, say, like in Sunday school, everybody's they have the little cupcakes or whatever. Nope, I don't get cupcakes. Everybody's having Sprite. I don't get Sprite. I get water.
Right.
So I grew up being able to watch everybody drink and eat all their sugary garbage, which is probably a good thing I didn't have anyway. And I was okay with that. But now as an adult, I noticed, I have two weaknesses: cheesecake and chocolate chip cookies. You get those around me, that's why I try not to have it in my house all that much, because I'll just eat it. You know what I mean? I'll just, and I overeat that stuff. And for me being as small as I am, you wouldn't think. But no, I got a problem. And but Joe actually mentioned that the other day. He's like, you always tell us we can't have all these sweets, but when you get chocolate chip cookies around you and you just eat them all up. And let's be honest, guys. As your parents, you're like, I am the parent, you are the kid, you do what I say. And that's your pride.
Yeah.
And I had that at first. And then I came back and I talked to him. And I said, you know what, son, you're right. You are absolutely right. And I try really hard not to be a hypocrite. I try really hard. And, if I tell my kids to live by something, I also live by that something. But that's an area that I wasn't living.
Yeah.
I'm just like, hey, I'm an adult. I can eat 27 chocolate chip cookies if I want to. I know I'm not going to feel great afterwards, but I'm going to do it. And so I've really been trying to cut back, and I've really been trying to, control myself, because it's like, no, just, okay, kids, you can have 2 chocolate chip cookies. I'll have 2 chocolate chip cookies. I might eat more after you go to bed. But you ain't gonna know it.
We're going to bed going, I wonder if.
I know. And then they come out, hey, Dad, I'm thirsty. And then you're like,
chocolate chip between your teeth.
You're like, oh, wait a minute. But no, it is, man, because that was hard.
Well, it's teaching them compromise.
Yeah.
Is what it does.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you have Steve that comes along and decides to introduce your children to Coke.
My gosh. The worst possible soda on the market, Coca-Cola. And he's like, hey, girls, you want some Coke? And I'm like, dadgummit, Steve, don't you know I can pour that on a piece of metal, and that takes the rust right off of it? That should tell you something about what you're putting inside. And I know. A little Coca-Cola isn't going to kill the girls whenever they see you. It's not going to kill them, and it'll be all right. But, yeah, I'm like, man. No, I want some chocolate chip cookies. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. So, as we were raising our children, we also raised other people's children. And so we became youth pastors.
Yeah.
And we've done that through the years. But it's nice, now that we're older, to not only see what our children have become, but to also have your other children that call you mom and dad and have grown up with you, for years now. And we had recently seen one of the girls, and it was just, he randomly was in a different state when I went to go visit my parents.
Yeah.
You don't bring her next time.
You're okay.
And it was really cool to be able to see her.
Yeah.
And have her see her kids.
Yeah.
How she raised her kids. And the compliment she gave was, I learned how to raise my kids by watching you.
Oh.
And we were like, because she's a great mom. And she didn't have a great upbringing. None of our youth did. They really didn't. We had to pick all of them up. Because unfortunately, they didn't have the best examples for parents.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I've kind of made it my mission throughout the years to gather girls and to teach them how to be a good mom and how to be a good wife and things like that. I go over the Proverbs 31 and I try to let that sink in, and then different things throughout Scripture that teach you how you are to be towards your husband in order to make your husband soar.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I figured that was, you kind of said, hey, let's kind of go in that direction.
Yeah.
So,
No, I appreciate you doing that, because sometimes, I think that's something that's often not a lot of times talked about, as especially from a woman's perspective, which I can't really speak to you much on that because I am not a woman. Actually, hang on just a second. I think Kayla.
Did she turn us off?
Yeah. No, she didn't. But she had to run to the bathroom, so I just fixed the camera. So I'm not. So it's not me talking, and it's just on you. But okay, what was I going to say now? That's something that's not often talked about a lot from the woman's perspective is what do you guys do, or what can you guys contribute, or what can you say that can really make your husband soar,
There is a book that someone, I can't remember who it was, but it was a study that they did for couples or for women or whatever, and it's called Love and Respect. Because women are the ones that need the love. Women are the ones that need the love.
Yeah.
Men are the ones that need respect.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, a lot of that goes both ways for both of those categories. But it's a big deal to love your husband or to respect your husband in front of your children.
Oh, yeah.
To respect him in front of other people. I mean, that even goes as far as not calling him down for the littlest things in front of people. If he's telling a story and he's wrong, don't correct him.
Yeah.
Just let it be. Nobody cares.
No.
It's just the little bitty things. And I've been guilty of that myself. Calling somebody, calling Steve down for whatever in the middle of him speaking. And no, that's not right, honey. You can't do that because then it makes them kind of deflate. It really adds a lot, or takes away, I guess I should say, from a marriage.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, yeah, no, that's great. Well, because so many things, including marriage, have all become so dadgum self-centered.
It is very self-centered.
What can you do for me?
When we first got married, I used to cook all the time. I don't cook anymore. He cooks. He cooks, but he's a good cook.
Yeah.
He grills, and I'm like, yeah.
Well, I mean, I can tell.
But once upon a time, I did all the cooking, and I would cut every piece of meat for him.
Mm-hmm.
I would have it just as if he's in a restaurant. Ooh. Now it's like, you made my sandwich and you put the bread the wrong direction. It's not matching. Do you hate me today? It's one of those kind of things. But you compromise over the years. He's just gotten a lot better at cooking than me.
Yeah.
Nobody trusts my cookies. Nobody trusts my bread. Why? Because I usually burn it. Whatever. But that's all right.
That is funny.
We'll get along.
Yeah. No, man, there's a one thing, and which I know we talked about it on, I think it was the first episode, my wife and I. But whenever she first got married, we were still going to church, and I grew up Baptist, and I'm like,
so did I, by the way.
Huh?
So did I.
Yeah, I was like, I'm Baptist, so this any of this, God still speaks to you, no, that doesn't happen. And I was like, I told my wife, I said, we need to find a different church. Mm-hmm. And obviously she'd already been going there a while, and I hadn't. I'd only been going there not even a whole year yet. And just to give you guys some context, my wife was 26 and I was 20 at the time. And she told me, she's like, I don't want to go to another church. She said, but if you take us to another church, I will go with you.
Yeah.
And
how much did that mean to you?
Oh, man. I mean,
it releases you to
it
grow.
does. It does. And, honestly, I didn't even realize, and not, mind you, she's downstairs praying, God, please don't change his mind. She didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it at the time, but I cannot tell you how much more I appreciate it now that she was willing to. Dude, she didn't even know me. She barely knew me for 4.5 months at that point. Mm-hmm. But we were married, I mean, we got married after 3 months and 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
I think that's right. It's like 3 months and something. I think it was 3 weeks. Pretty sure. But I look back now, I'm like, man, I was not even worth submitting to whenever I was 20 years old.
But you didn't think of it like that, did you?
No, I didn't at the time. No, I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I know how to parent.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never had kids, but I'm like, I know how to parent. I did not know how to parent. Mm-hmm. And I learned that very quickly. But just the fact that she was willing to go to another church because I said, who am I? I was her husband at that point, but I'm like, I don't know if I would have submitted to me.
My ex-husband was abusive.
Yeah.
I got married at 16. And he literally, during counseling, told my pastor that the Bible says that women are to submit to their husbands.
Did you not read the rest of the chapter?
He didn't
read the rest. Did you not read the rest of the chapter?
Pick and choose.
Exactly.
And I tell you, once I ended up with Steve, and he showed me what true love was.
Yeah.
And helped me get out of my terrified state.
Mm-hmm.
It was all the different.
Well,
it's what you put into your spouse.
Yeah.
That is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I think about it, and I can tell because let's be honest, guys. Life is not. Life isn't Tangled, the movie. Life isn't Frozen, where you just meet the random guy on a unicorn or whatever that thing was that he rode around, the moose or what was on. You guys seen Frozen before? Reindeer, the reindeer. Yes,
you should have made him just feel like he was the only one that watches Disney.
You're still watching Disney.
No.
Yes. But no, he doesn't just come on as magic moose. Sorry, his magic rain. Oh cow! His magic is he doesn't come on as reindeer, right? And then it's not fairy tale. It's not Disney. It's not as much as we want it to be. It's not.
No.
And now I got talking about magic mooses, and now I forgot where I was going.
You're easily distracted with magic mooses. It's kind of scary, Trey.
So talking about magic mooses, I lose what I was thinking about. What were we just talking about?
Magic mooses.
Yes, magic mooses and froze. But yes, I remember now. But no, it's whenever you get to that place where you get busy with life and you get busy with kids and you get busy with work, and sometimes the reality is my wife and I don't always pour into each other like we should. Mm-hmm. But we notice whenever we don't, because you get to that point and you're like, why do we feel like we're just butting heads?
Or two people living in the same home. Yeah. That really. You're just existing until the kids are gone.
Exactly. But then it's like, man, by the time you get the kids to bed, you're so tired and you're like, I just want to shower and go to bed. And I noticed though, whenever we just take that time, and it doesn't even necessarily take a long time, but whenever you have that intimacy, and guys, mind you, I'm not just talking about physical intimacy, which I believe 1,000% it's important. It's important. But that emotional intimacy too, because dude, whenever my wife and
that's what's important to a woman. Mm-hmm.
Because if you as a man aren't connecting with her emotionally, she's not gonna want to connect with you physically.
Steve always said women are responders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his big thing. Women are responders. What you're going to pour into them is what you're going to get out of them.
Yeah, that's
that's good or bad.
Yeah. And and so it's just like I think about that, And sometimes it takes 10, 15 minutes. It's not always a lot, but sometimes you just get to that point where it's like, okay, we got to stop. Because honestly, this thing between, you and I don't mean Melissa and I, but I mean my wife and I, it's like this thing between Charlotte and I, whenever it doesn't always take a lot, but it's the most important, because one day all the kids are going to be gone.
That's right.
And then that's why you see so many people that, were just together and their kids, and they made the kids the priority. And then after the kids are gone, they're like,
they don't know what to do.
Who are you? Who am I married? No, because my wife and I is the one that it's important. That it's in,
we're really strong about having date nights.
Oh, yeah.
And especially when you have kids, it's very important to also make them feel important. Not that they are the most important, but Kayla enjoys date night with Dad.
Oh, yeah.
The grandbabies enjoy date night with Papa.
Mm-hmm.
My grandson enjoys a date night with Nana.
Uh-huh.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You make people feel important, but you can't let that go above you and your spouse.
Yeah.
But you do make time for people, regardless of who they are. But definitely your spouse.
Yeah.
You've got to keep that strong, and you've got to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
I
often, we're going to have to start wrapping up here pretty quick. But
can I give some highlights? Well, go ahead.
Well,
do
no.
what you got to do.
Well, no, please give some highlights.
There's just some things that I've kind of written down, and honestly, I feel like the Lord has really. Whenever you told me that we were doing this podcast, and you kind of gave me a gist, and I don't know if we hit any of it.
I don't know if we hit any of it, but honestly, we could always do another episode before you guys leave.
But I do want to share something.
Go for it.
Because you
Take
keep
it away.
calling me the older 50-year-old. So
okay, guys.
Here I am.
The 50-year-old in the studio.
These are the things that, literally, when I lay down, it's hard for me to think of things off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But whenever I lay down, the Lord really shares things with me that He's like, hey, you need to write this down right now. And that's what I did. Mm-hmm. Is that okay?
Hey, go for it.
Okay.
Go for it. You need a flashlight?
No, I'm good. As long as I got my glasses, because I'm 50 now.
Yeah. 49.
In Titus 2:3-5, and I didn't do it word by word. I just kind of did a bullet point of this is what it says. The older women should live in a way that honors God. Teach others what is good. Older women, you train the younger women to love their husbands and their children, live wisely, be pure, how to work in their homes. A lot of women don't know how to work in their homes. I know people call me a clean freak, and they call me all kinds of things. Whatever. I take note of what all needs to be done in my home, and I try to do that, to be that mom to help out and make it inviting.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Do good. Be submissive to their husbands. Then they will not bring shame on the word of God. When you're submissive to your spouse, you have no idea what it does to them. And what it does for you. Honestly, you had asked me earlier, you said something about, have you ever had any problems with my husband? That point in time in 2015, whenever I took the time to devote myself to reading and praying and everything, and I did it with a discipline, it made it to the point to where I didn't focus so much on him. I focused on me.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing, is to not sit there and point fingers, pick out the flaws out of your spouse, but to focus on yourself. And you know what he told me? He said, because of what you did, I wanted to grow. And he said, I saw you were about to leave me behind. So, therefore, he soared.
Yeah.
Because I didn't sit there and nitpick and jump down his throat on everything. I'm just like, you know what? It's about me and God, and you're going to have to deal with God yourself.
Yeah. And
that's exactly what happened. I put down here that we are a gift. We're a helpmate to our spouse. And this is what I ashamedly say I used to do, and I need to continue doing. So during that time period, this is exactly what helped me. To pray over Steve for blessings, to pray over him for favor every day, over his eyes, that he watches out and is careful of what his eyes see, what his hands touches, where his feet go, what he puts in his heart, the Bible calls our heart evil.
Yeah.
And it also says to guard our heart because everything pours out from there. And so anyway, to pray over their heart, to pray over his mind. Guys have attacks like crazy, whether it's the family, whether it's, whatever your flesh is desiring, the lust of your flesh or whatever it is, just the responsibility of being a husband and having to have all the responsibilities of the household. I wouldn't want that myself. But my husband does it well.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful. You have to help them in that. And so anyway, the attacks of their mind, and then over their ears, what they put into their ears, because that helps guide your heart, and so you have to be really careful about that. I put in here, marriage killers, a suspicious mind, always wondering, what's he doing right now? Yeah. What's he going to be doing? Can I leave? I spent many a days just sitting there because of my ex-husband, basically.
Yeah.
But because Satan didn't let it die in me for my fears to be wondering what my spouse is going to be doing, unfortunately affected my next marriage. But to constantly be suspicious, that is a big marriage killer, because it doesn't mean you look for them to be doing good, not for them to be doing wrong,
right? And
let them deal with God. And then I finally put on here, you can't give to your spouse what you do not have. If you don't have your daily encounter with the Lord, every single day, you're not going to fill yourself up enough to give what you need to give to your spouse.
Yeah.
And so anyway, those are just the things that the Lord kind of downloaded in me to share on your podcast today. So I hope that helped somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, now I hate that. Well, again, bummer I woke up a little bit late. So I'm just like, no. I feel like we could keep going, but maybe we'll be able to do another episode before you leave, because I know that I know whenever Steve and I do one, I don't know how long we're going to be here. I might bring a cot and a blanket whenever Steve and I come here, because
just keep them focused.
Keep them focused. Yeah, But no, man, I appreciate you guys coming out and doing this. And guys, to those of you listening, man, I hope you guys have been able to get something from this. And even if you didn't get anything else except the fact that we were a little disheveled this morning with lights and sounds and everything else. But it's okay. We're all learning, and can't do much about it except keep moving forward. Any last thing you want to say within like a minute?
Within a minute?
Within a minute. Because I got to be at my appointment in 30 minutes. But
I appreciate you doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Not this one only, but you said the point of your podcast is to edify the church and to help people in their daily lives to grow.
Yeah.
And I think that's much needed, because it's not a lot talked about, and there's a lot of subjects you can get that will help many people.
Yeah.
And so we miss you guys. We miss your family, and we miss our whole church family here.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate every time we get to come down and see you.
Yeah, man. We love it. We love it. And I definitely will try to get another episode in with you before you leave. But yeah, guys, well, I got to get to my doctor's appointment and stuff. But at the end, I like to pray over my audience. I like to pray over the people that are listening. And because we as Christians believe that there's power in our prayer.
Yep, absolutely.
Because we know the one who's listening. And he can handle, and he can do, he can move in ways that we can't even fathom. The Bible talks about his ways are higher than our ways. His plans are above our plans. So, yeah, we do make our plans. We do plan to do another podcast episode. We do plan to, manage our money. We do plan to, sometimes things come up. Sometimes crap happens. And that's when you just got to take it and you got to consecrate it. And you got to say, you know what, God, I can't do this. I got to give it to you. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and close out in prayer so I can get to my doctor's appointment. And Melissa can paint a house.
Right.
So Lord, we just thank you again, God. Thank you for this opportunity to do this with Melissa. And God, I just pray over each and every person listening to this right now, God. God, that number one, that you will bless them, that you will watch over them, God, that you will meet whatever need it is that they have, and you will just show up and you will move mightily in the different situations that we find ourselves in, God. God, and I honestly, I just think about it, God, I just think of, and I don't even know why I'm getting this, but I just picture some woman that's been praying for something very fervently, that's been praying her heart out for, I don't know if it's months, I don't know if it's years, but there's somebody out there who's been really praying for something, breakthrough in some area of their life, and I see God moving in your life in that prayer that you've been waiting on. So I think that's probably the first time I've ever done that or even said anything like that, because I don't say stuff like that. So I just see God moving on your behalf, so you can know that God is moving and that your prayers are being answered. So God, we thank you. Thank you again. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.